So I want to kind of get into it right away because I don't necessarily know one, I know how much time you have, but I want to make sure that we do it in a time frame where my listeners are going to be able to get the full impact of your story, because I think your story is an amazing one about what you went
Thank
through,
you.
yeah, and what you overcame really to get where you are. So
Yeah.
just briefly, let's go ahead and talk about before you met me, when you decided that you wanted to make a change to the body. What was the backstory that led you up to the point where you felt that you wanted to make a change? Like, what was going on in your
It's
world?
growing up, I never had to worry about food. I was really lucky in that regard that I was able to maintain weight, eat what I wanted without any physical activity. And this went on through my teens, through my 20s, up until my 30s. It was at the point when I started having children that after 4 kids, all of a sudden, everything changed. And I wasn't able to not only maintain the weight, I noticed that I started gaining weight. And it took me by surprise because I always prided myself on having such a fast metabolism. Well, my luck ran out. And, fast forward, a few months before my 40th birthday, realized I had to make a change. And I didn't know what to do because I had no experience with weight issues my whole life. I flitted through life with, rose-colored lenses. I didn't know what was to come. And
So
when it hit,
I have a question about that, because
Mhm.
I'm somebody that struggled with obesity since I was 8 years old. So it's always been, in my mind, it's always been a part of my identity, right? This dealing with this weight issue.
Mhm.
Honestly, what is that like to go almost 30 years or even over 30 years, never really dealing with a weight issue? And
Yes.
then suddenly there it is. Well, like, what is that like?
It's almost like you're looking at a different person because how can I say this? Back in my younger years, I dabbled in many different things, and I was always in front of the camera. I wanted a career in entertainment. It didn't happen, but you understand that that is a position where you're prided on how you look. So I always took pride in how I looked, and I was always happy with everything about myself. So when things started to change in my 30s, I put it on the back burner because at that point, that part of my life was gone and I was raising 4 children. So I was more focused on them. But then as the years went by and I approached my 40th birthday, I had the shock of my life. I looked like a completely different person. And it scared me because not only did I look different, I felt different. I just felt it. I can't even put into words. Like I couldn't handle who I was anymore. Mentally, physically, I was like an alien in my own body. And I
Wow.
didn't know what was wrong. And that's when I said, I need to make a change, but I don't know what program to do because everything I'm doing now isn't working. So
Okay.
I was struggling with how and where can I find the right program for me that will help me make a lifestyle change for good.
So
That's
then
not just bad.
So then what exactly were you wanting to accomplish? So was it just that you weren't used to looking at this type of Liorah in the mirror and you just wanted to look better? Like, what was going on? Like,
For
it was the
me,
only thing you wanted to change was the
it
weight?
no, it was more of a mental issue for me. I was having a lot of issues with my mental clarity. I was forgetful. I was always forgetting where was I putting my daughter's things. I couldn't find my keys. I was in a mental fog from the moment I woke up until the moment I went to bed. And it was scary because I'm a single mom of 4 little girls, ages 9, 8, 6, and 2. But back then, the baby was just born. So I had a newborn and I just couldn't get it together. So I realized there had to be a connection between how I was carrying all this extra weight as my BMI was approaching obesity. For me, I'm 5'1". And at the time before I started your program, I was at a 26.9, which put me in the overweight category. I had never been overweight my entire life. So that number alone scared the bejesus out of me. I couldn't understand what happened. But I came to you not because I was worried about my physicality, because after I became a mom, it wasn't my concern. It was more of how I felt inside, and my energy levels were so low. I was having a really hard time taking care of my kids. So that was the reality I came to you for because I had so low energy. I thought I had a thyroid problem. And the thing is, every one of my test results came back normal in
Yeah.
that regard.
Yeah.
So I couldn't understand, but they wanted to prescribe me medication for this or for that, just for this, for anxiety or for depression. Maybe you're depressed. And I said, no, I'm
So
not.
they're taking tests of you.
Mhm.
They're not finding, like, they're taking blood work and
Oh
whatever,
yeah, I had a full
and
panel. Everything
find
was,
find nothing wrong,
there was nothing wrong.
yet they wanted to give you medication.
They told me that I probably had mental issues from my divorce and that I was probably having a little bit of anxiety and depression. And they wanted to give me Xanax and, or what was the other one? Was it?
Prozac,
Yes.
Prozac,
It was
Zoloft.
Xanax and Zoloft.
Yeah,
And
Zoloft, yeah.
I'm an organic mom. I went organic when I got pregnant in 2011 with my first child. I never even take medicine. So I said, absolutely not. So I realized I had a problem. Doctors were telling me I was depressed. I felt depressed, but I knew that it had to do with my weight. It had to. There had to be some kind of correlation. So I was seeking answers. I was
So
seeking answers.
what kinds of things, because we had talked earlier before we went on the show, and you had mentioned that you had tried certain programs. Granted, you didn't necessarily know what to do because you'd never
I
struggled
had
with a
no idea.
weight. Yeah. But you did
I-
try some things. So, like, what kinds of things did you try, and what kind of problems were you having with those methods?
All I knew was that those who needed to diet had a calorie count. So that's what I thought I had to do. I had to restrict my calories and eat only salad. So that's what I did for about 2 or 3 weeks. And then I had the most severe of headaches. I wasn't dropping any weight. So then I realized, well, people who lose weight exercise like fanatics. So maybe I just need to get my ass in the gym. So I started exercising and lost probably 2 pounds in about 2 months. So I said, what's going on here? I'm exercising, I'm reducing my calories, but I'm not losing weight. So after about 2 months of that, I gave up. I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I was not understanding what to do to keep the weight off for good in a way that supported a lifestyle of great change. I was misinformed and I was spinning in circles.
Wow.
So that was my reality. I thought that in order to lose weight, I had to exercise like a fanatic and to restrict my calories, which isn't true.
Right. And didn't work.
And it didn't work. It didn't work. It didn't work at all.
What happened? So, like, what was the moment that happened that made you just, like, either one, decide that you needed to change, or two, helped you find out about me?
Yes, it was actually through example. My daughter had a preschool teacher at the time who, I had known for many years because we had been at that school for many years with my other older children. And this woman, unfortunately, had a very large weight problem. And all the time that I had known her, she was obese. All of a sudden, she started shrinking in front of my eyes, and she was losing weight so fast and lost probably about 40 pounds in about a 6-month period.
I lost 42 pounds on Dr. Nash's program. I'm 7 pounds away from my goal. If I can do this, I can do anything.
So I asked her, I said, what are you doing to get these results? And she told me about you. She was so excited and said that she found a program that not only transformed her life, but, she felt that it could transform anybody's life who looked into it. And when she said that, I just said, okay, well, I have some good information now. And you know what I did with it?
What?
Nothing. I did
Oh.
nothing. I did nothing for months. I knew about you. I was seeing all her great results, but my own innate laziness and desire to make excuses for myself prevented me from reaching out until the pandemic hit. And it was then that I actually ended up gaining more weight because of inactivity. I was home. It was May of 2020. I'd been home for 2 months and I ballooned. I gained 20 pounds in 2 months.
Wow.
And that's when I remembered you again. And I
Yeah.
said, okay, it's now or never. If I don't do this now, it's never going to happen. So I decided to pick up that phone and call your office.
And I think that's really common for a lot of people. Like, I hear that a lot with my private clients where they'll say something like, I've been watching you for months, or I know somebody who's been doing your program and I've been watching them for months. And inside, I always think, well, what is that like? Because time, in my mind, time passes anyway, right? Those 6 months, those 2 months or whatever, they're going to pass anyway. What is it like, especially if it's somebody that you see and you decide, well, I'm not ready to make that change yet, but yet every time you see them, they're looking different, they're looking smaller.
Absolutely.
To me personally, I remember experiences like that when I was struggling, and it would eat me alive because I'm personally, not saying you are, but I'm personally very competitive. So I'm the kind of person will be in a competition with somebody and they don't even know we're in the competition, right? So we're just in a competition. And so if we would both decide to do like a weight loss program or something, and I'm not getting good results, but I'm watching them continue to get good results, that personally eats me alive. But the other thing that you talked about, which I think is really important, is the pandemic, right?
Yes.
So in 2 months, 20 pounds. And I don't
20
think that,
pounds.
yeah, I don't
It was a
think
huge
that's an
amount for me.
unusual, yeah, I don't think that's an unusual result. Because what we're seeing like when the pandemic hit and I suddenly had to go from seeing people in a brick and mortar business to seeing them online. Now you have technically only met me, I think, online. I don't think you've ever even been.
I have actually never met you in person.
Right.
So at that time too, it was strictly online.
It was still on, yeah, and it's been
it
online
was.
ever since. So you weren't even coming down to the physical
No.
office. But what I was seeing on my side with my private clients is when that pandemic hit and everybody got stuck indoors or not leaving their house at all, their weight loss started to plummet, meaning the results that I used to get and the things I used to be able to say, I couldn't say anymore. So
Absolutely. And that's
yeah.
what happened to me. I was gaining instead of maintaining. I was at a weight that I wasn't entirely comfortable at, but I attributed it to just having a baby. And I told myself just to be kind. At the time, my daughter was 7 months old. So I told myself it was just excess baby weight. That's what I led myself to believe. But the reality is 20 pounds in 2 months is not excess baby weight. I should have been losing weight, not gaining.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. The inactivity and all of that stress of staying indoors and being scared and confused, it took me in a bad direction. And I was feeling at my lowest at that time.
And it took a majority of people in the wrong position. Average weight gain, the last time I checked, and this was months ago, was 30 pounds. And that's when the media finally started to admit that, because in the beginning, I was looking up stats and seeing how much weight gain have we seen since the pandemic. And everything that I was seeing that was being reported was, we're not really seeing a weight problem. And I'm like, that can't be true because of what I'm seeing. Yeah. From what I'm seeing with my private clients, that can't be true.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Dr. Nash from the future. Just dropping in at this part of the video because I personally thought that this statistic was alarming when I learned it, that 61% of Americans had gained weight during the lockdowns and that the average weight gain was 30 pounds. But what is even more alarming is that for a large majority of people, they're having a really hard time getting it off afterwards. It seems that things that worked for them before March of 2020 are not working for them now. So if you're a woman over 40, you've been struggling with extra weight for a while, maybe you're carrying extra weight in the belly, you might even have been told by your doctor that you have some other condition as well, such as prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, please find out if you have metabolic damage that is sabotaging your body's ability to hold a normal weight by going to drnash.com/eval. You can get a one-on-one online evaluation with me for just $9.97. Let's get back to the video.
From what I'm seeing with my private clients, that can't be true. And it was only about 8 or 9 months into the pandemic that we finally started to see these numbers coming out. And at last look, it was 30 pounds, but I'll admit that was probably a good 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah,
so
well,
God only knows what it is now. Yeah.
Put me in the overweight category. And I realized that I needed to reach out for help. And I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah. So, okay. So that's when we connect, right? And that's when you started my program. But I want to know, for someone that's like, they never had a weight problem, never really had to diet, they never had to do any of these things, and then they go into my program. So what was that like? I mean, like, what kind of obstacles or like, were there any issues that you had to overcome now that you were doing what I was having you do?
There was. The conflicts that I experienced as I went through my journey was that my family provided me with no support. my entire inner circle had a diseased mindset, and they would criticize what I was doing. I had to be very diligent and exactly follow your protocol to ensure that I was doing the right thing to change, my metabolic damage. They weren't having it. They were trying to trick me into eating bad food and say that, I was becoming fanatical or obsessed with myself and that what I was doing was harmful. Absolutely not. So I was dealing with no support from my family members, and they were trying to bring me down. But I wasn't having that because I knew that I had to stick the course. So for me, it was everyone around me trying to just rain on my parade. And once they started seeing my results, that's when they started looking and they stopped criticizing. They actually
Really?
They did because
Yeah.
because
And
the proof is in the
you
pudding.
can swear, by the way, so it's
Oh,
fine.
great.
Yeah, you can absolutely swear. Because honestly,
Awesome.
I think this particular issue, I think is really, really important because I hear it a lot, not
Mhm.
just from you, but from my other private clients as well, where maybe they have a spouse or they have children or they have, I don't know, they go to work and they have those potlucks every day or whatever, and they just don't have that support system, or they actually have saboteurs. You know what I mean? Like people that
Absolutely.
are looking to sabotage them. You're one of those people that were able to stand up to that.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't say opposition, but just lack of support. Let's just call it that, right?
Absolutely. No support whatsoever.
So
And
how did you do that? Like, are you living with these people and you're like,
no,
oh, okay.
thankfully I live independent, but I see the grandparents, and especially during those pandemic days, they were the only people that I was able to see. So I didn't have any other people to hang out with but my family. So I was very surprised at their lack of support. So it was a weekend thing. And also to understand that, there's a lot of socialism going on in eating food with your family. It's a social aspect, you're together in that environment, you're sharing, but it doesn't mean I need to eat what you're eating. I can still sit with you and enjoy and laugh and love and dish. I don't have to eat your food.
I
And
agree.
so I was
See, and that's what I tell people too. I'm like, you can go and
Yeah.
the point of it, like we have one coming up. It's not, how do I fall face first inside of a pie? Like that's
It really isn't. So I would come with my prepackaged meals and I would just get eye rolls and, why don't you just have a little bit of pasta, or come on, why don't you eat a little slice of this pie? And I stood firm and I said, no. I said, no. I said, I'm doing this for my girls. I'm doing this for me, and no one is going to steer me in the wrong direction. But it took me a long time to get to that mindset, because when I initially consulted with you and you asked me questions, you told me my problem was my mind. You said, you are procrastinating. And because I told you, my thing is, I'm just going to do it tomorrow. But guess what? Tomorrow never came. And I was still in the same boat. So it was my mindset. And once I
Yeah.
realized that I had the power to change my mind, that's when everything changed.
Yeah. I used to, when I first went into helping people lose weight, it was kind of the same pie in the sky idea that I had when I first became a chiropractor. When I first became a chiropractor, you graduate, you think you're going to open up your practice and you're going to change the world. You're going to adjust everybody's spine. Everybody's nervous system is going to be magically transformed and you're going to create this huge movement. And then it doesn't happen quite that way. And it was the same way with the weight loss program. I really, really thought when I had found these answers that I had been looking for 25 years, and I was like, I've seen it work on me. I've been able to replicate it in other people. I'm going to actually create a program to help people, and we're going to transform the world. And that's what I thought back in like 2013. And I thought that my heavier people were going to change the most. And they were the ones that had the biggest struggle, not because their bodies couldn't change, but that mindset. I had completely underestimated the mindset in 2013, 2014 when I started this. But I'm acutely aware how much mindset plays into it. The stories you tell yourself in your head are going to make or break that program, mine or anybody else's. If you tell yourself these stories about why it's okay to or why you can't, it's game over. I have to give in. It's Thanksgiving and it's with my parents and she's 70. This could be her last Thanksgiving. Of course I have to eat her sweet potato casserole or whatever. And that's not true.
Right.
You're there to celebrate your mother, not her sweet potato casserole, even if she rolls her eyes when she offers it to you and you say no.
100%. But you know what? It's about personal accountability. And that's what I've realized, that I'm responsible for myself, and that's it. I'm not responsible for anyone else's feelings or their perceptions. I am responsible for me. I'm walking into my two shoes. And once I realized that I can do anything if I made the right choices and was never swayed by other people's opinions, because that's what's wrong in society. We're easily influenced by other people's perceptions and criticisms, and it could easily derail you. But you have to be strong.
You actually have, like, you're not just saying this, like, you're not just spouting this because of your conviction. Like, aren't you actually going to school studying behavior?
I am. And it's funny you say that, because once you told me that I could change my mind, it was at that point that I realized I could also go back to school. I was on a leave of absence when I got pregnant with my daughter. And I decided after she was born that I probably would never go back to school again. Well, you know what? I did. During the pandemic, I was able to re-enroll at UNLV. I have a daughter on the autism spectrum, so anything autism related is near and dear to my heart. So I decided to go back to school and re-enroll in the special education master's program. And the emphasis is in applied behavioral analysis. I want to be a behavior analyst to help children on the spectrum, create programs for them so they can learn how to engage in life. So that initial consult with you, it kind of was like a catapult into bigger and best things, because I not only decided I wanted to change my physicality, I was also able to do other things with myself. I re-enrolled in school, and I had so much more impact in my life on all levels, because I was so able to tell myself that if I could do one thing, I could do anything. I am limitless. I can do anything. And understand this, I'm a single mother and have been divorced for many years. And I have 4 children, one on the spectrum. So if there's anybody in this world who has no time, it's me. And I was able to commit to your program, and also, and still to this, day, commit to my graduate studies. And you know what? I'm so proud of myself, because it was your program that was the catalyst, though. If I didn't reach out to you, none of that would have happened, because I would have stuck down in my miserable mind thinking, I'm just going to do it tomorrow.
Yeah. And and it's funny that you touch on that.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, I think especially any kind of personal struggle with weight, whether it's you're trying to gain weight because you're underweight, or for 80% of Americans, you're trying to bring your weight back down to a normal range.
Mm-hmm.
I think the discipline and self-sacrifice and mindset information that you learn when you go through that journey does exactly what you said. It feeds you in all these other ways. If you can it really does. If you can learn how to be disciplined about how to take care of your body and how to get it where it's supposed to be and stay there, those lessons are going to serve you in your personal relationships, in your work relationships, in your decisions to go back to school at 40 years old.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's phenomenal. And it's because, it's that shift in the mindset. So we see a shift in mindset. Now I'm sure everybody wants to know, because we're kind of dancing around it. What was the result on the program?
Okay, so I followed your program to a T. I deviated from nothing. I followed it exactly. And the result I achieved was a 30-pound weight loss in 3 months.
Wow. Okay. And you're not big. I mean,
I am not. I
get that you felt big, but you're not a big person.
But understand, at my height, if I have 20 or 30 or 40 pounds on me, looks a lot different than someone taller.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
Nowhere for it to go.
Yeah, so, I hear shorter people, it takes less weight for them to. Yeah.
My BMI was supporting that I was 2 points away from obese. Okay, I was in the overweight category, but the end result was that I lost 30 pounds in 3 months. And I decided to take it a little further, and I lost 35 pounds in 4 months. So it was at that point that I realized I lost a little too much, and I decided to go back to the 30-pound weight loss. And I was really happy with that. So
when you lost the 35,
yes,
you're 5'1", what number did you get to when you hit 35-pound weight loss?
I was 107 pounds. I went from 142.5 pounds all the way down to 107 in 4 months.
And that was at 40 years old?
At
or 39 or
I started your program in June of 2020. By September of 2020, by my 40th birthday, I lost 30 pounds. By October, I was down 35 pounds. So it was all within that time frame. And I was so proud of myself that I
Yeah,
did
you
that
should be.
by my 40th birthday.
Yeah.
And I kept losing. It's no joke. It was dropping off of me. And when I reached maintenance phase, I decided that, you know what, I do have the liberty to play a little bit with my body now that I know what I'm doing. And I decided from, you know, a vanity standpoint that I wanted just a little more curves. So I was able to gain back in a healthy way. And I have been maintaining my weight all this time. And now we are how many months?
You're a year.
More, right? Because May to May is 1 year, 15 months. I
Yeah.
am 15 months
But
now.
you hit your goal weight around September, you said, right?
I did. I hit my
Yeah.
goal weight September of 2020 within
But
3 months.
regardless, within
Mhm.
so just so you know, because you might not, seeing as you've never had a weight problem, most people
No, I
regain, most people regain all of the weight within 12 months of
Oh
losing.
no.
And you
No,
didn't,
it's been
right?
15 months. No, I again, I wanted to gain a few pounds on purpose just because I wanted a little TNA because I
Right.
was looking a little too gaunt, but that's just me. And I've been able to maintain this the entire time.
Now let's
because
talk
I'm
about
following it.
let's talk about maintenance, because you've technically been in maintenance. Well, first of all, my
I've been in
private
maintenance since October of 2020.
right. So you've been
Yeah.
in maintenance now for over a year. You were
Yeah.
only in my program for 2 months. I only taught you one
It's true.
cycle, right? So from what
Yes.
you learned in the 2 months, you went
months.
on to complete 2 other cycles on your own. Right?
I certainly, I was able to take your information, apply it
And keep it
systematically to my
going.
life and keep it going.
And keep
I
it going.
absolutely did.
Now-
I did 2 reduce cycles to lose the weight. I
Right.
had to do reduce, retrain, reduce, retrain, and then I went to maintenance. That's all
Right.
it took.
Now, in this year that you've been maintaining,
Mhm.
like how hard has that been? Are you starving yourself?
No!
Are you
No. Oh my, no. I'm eating 2,500 calories a day and loving life because I know what to eat and how to eat it.
So
and
I'm
when to eat.
gonna stop you.
Mhm.
You're 5'1",
5'1",
and you weigh 120, like 118 to
120
120,
pounds, 120 on the dot. That's
and
where
you're eating 2,500 calories a day.
absolutely I am. Absolutely I am. That's the truth. And there
So
has
you
been no budge in my weight. My weight has not fluctuated. Some people may fluctuate. I don't. I have maintained this entire weight since the day I decided this is the weight I like to be at.
So what kind of activity are you doing to maintain that?
None. By the way, I've done no physical activity on your program. I know that you emphasize exercise in some components, but for me, I didn't need to exercise a lick to lose the weight, nor do I exercise to this day. And that's my truth. I have no physical activity other than after my kids
Right.
that maintain this weight loss. It's all through diet. It's all through your program. It's all through your calculations of what you can and can't eat in maintenance. That's how I've been able to maintain. Has
So does that
nothing
mean
to do with exercise.
are you eating like a monk then in maintenance? Because you're talking about it's all about what you can and can't eat. I mean, are you just like are
Yeah.
you living off of chicken breast and Brussels sprouts?
I'm not, everything that you taught me is in your ebook that you gave us that shows us how to eat and retrain.
Right.
The thing is, this is a lifestyle change. This isn't some gimmick where you do it some of the time. You have to do it all the time. If I want a cheat meal, it's 2 cheat meals a week. It's not 2 cheat meals a day. The minute you lose track of the protocol, it's all gone downhill.
And isn't that frightening?
It is.
It is.
But that's the reality. If you want this and you want to change your life, there are sacrifices to be made. And I'm going to sacrifice that extra piece of pizza or that chocolate bar any day because I don't want to ruin my results. You have to understand there is empirical data, there's scientific based research to what you're offering us.
Right.
And it's all in there. I love carbs, but understand that, or you do understand because you told me about it.
No, it's fine.
That's a gas and food. Those are the foods you cannot eat until you reach maintenance. So
Right.
once I got to maintenance, I realized, okay, these are going to be my cheat meals. So even when I'm in maintenance, I'm still choosing whole food groups that support my lifestyle. I'm not trying to inhale garbage if that makes sense.
No, it's interesting because do you feel the way that you live now with this lifestyle and the way you're eating now, do you feel deprived that you
Never.
can't have these foods?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because how can I say it? It's just not worth the risk of damaging my metabolism again, just for that sweet bite or whatever.
Well, but
It- it-
what about cravings? Don't you get
you know no, I don't have cravings because I trained my mind to understand once you know if something is poison, you're never again going to put it in your mouth. And that's what I trained myself to believe, especially when it came to sugar and all the information that you presented me with, how sugar is, the leading cause and of, obesity in the United States and chronic disease. Once I learned that and I realized sugar was in everything, I had to make a conscious decision to steer away from the foods that I knew were going to damage me.
Now, do you still feel that conscious pull to those foods, or did
No.
your body kind of, because that's what I noticed with me, right? So when I first started breaking away from these overly processed, highly palatable foods, right?
Mhm.
It was hard because there was a real addiction there. There was a mental addiction, a habitual addiction. So it was hard. But what I also noticed is the more I stayed away from it, first of
The
all,
less you crave.
yeah, I had lost the craving for it. So it wasn't like I'm living my life every day, waking up and feeling deprived that I'm
No.
not having this over that. It was, I'm waking up every morning of my life and I'm just living and I don't think about it anymore.
It's exactly true.
Yeah, which
It's
in my mind
exactly
was
true.
completely freeing. So like I'll now go, when I go into a grocery store, if I go in the middle, I use those mindset techniques where if I'm going down the middle, I don't have an urge for any of those foods, but I will still to this day as I walk through poison, garbage, shit, crap, horrible, poison, fatty liver,
100%. I do the
diabetes.
same thing.
I will
I-
program that brain. This is
Mhm.
crap. This is garbage. This will kill you. This kills my immune system. This makes me susceptible to whatever virus is the flavor of the day.
Oh, 100%. Once I understood about metabolic damage, once I understood about systematic cellular inflammation, once I understood about all these foods causing chronic inflammation, once I
No, I get it.
learned
Yeah.
that the foods were causing things like cancer and diabetes and autoimmune disease and arthritis, I never looked back. It was a no-brainer. It's almost like once you know that heroin is going to kill you, are you going
Yeah.
to still keep doing it? No. So I attributed these bad foods in that category of like a narcotic drug. And I learned to stay away because I knew the damage it would do.
Now, would you say, so has your life been relatively easy this past year that you could keep in maintenance like that?
Oh, heck no. My life actually dumped a bunch of shit on me a couple of months ago, right as I was, I would say about 3-4 months into maintenance. It was about April. Things started getting bad. My ex-husband was causing trouble with me with custody. My mom had a really bad fall and almost died going down the stairs. I was having problems with my autistic daughter's school and almost had to sue for due process. There was a lot going on. So
Wow.
it was almost like everything in the world wanted me to fail and go back to my old habits. And I'm so proud that that was the one thing that I didn't do. I didn't destroy what I worked so hard to have. I kept to the program, and it actually helped me get out of the hole of, oh my gosh, everything's going wrong, because that was the one thing I could control was my diet and my health.
Wow.
And to this day, I'm out of that funk, but it took me a long time to realize, life is going to throw you a bunch of punches. It's not always going to be rosy all the time. Just when you think you've achieved greatness, some shit's going to happen to destroy it. And you need to just stay strong and not be susceptible. I felt that, just some spirits were just trying to destroy all my progress. And I told myself, no, don't do it. Don't go back to that. You're going to lose everything. And so I stayed strong and I stayed the course, and I'm still here.
Yeah. And you did, you sent me a picture of just like a couple days ago, a few days ago.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Showing
My
me what you
daughter
look
took
like. And I was like,
so it's
yeah.
not edited, no filter. I don't do all that crap. So it was just me, hanging in the backyard with my kids, but, maintaining my best life because of this program. I never, ever stopped, I never stopped.
Because when you hear I did this all and I didn't do any exercise, you might have an idea.
No exercise.
Yeah, you might have an
None.
idea of, well, then she probably has saggy skin, or she might have, stretch marks or whatever. And you might have stretch marks, but you don't have saggy skin.
I don't, and I have to say, genetically, my predisposition was not that. So I've been very lucky in terms of skin laxity and all these things. That was never an issue for me, even after 4 kids. But the reality is, I came a long way. This could have gone very south. I could have been gaining more weight and ballooning higher, hitting 150, hitting 160. Who knows where I could have gone? Yeah. The weight just kept piling on. So this,
and it is amazing to me. I would have thought, by looking at your body, I really would have thought that you were doing some activity.
Nothing. And I just really believe that it's all in the mind and it's all in the diet. If you control what you put in your mouth, you're going to maintain your weight. You have to do it systematically, and you have to understand the scientific data as to why you're doing this. And that's what keeps it off. Your understanding and your commitment to yourself. Working out is a bonus. But again, every body type is different. Some people exercise just because they want to feel those endorphins. They want to feel that happy. I never felt that before, so I'm not that's not my thing. When I was in the gym, once upon a time, I hated it, and I hate sweating, and to me, I feel disgusting when I sweat, so that's not my thing at all. So it's not something I do, and I'm still able to keep this weight loss off all through diet and this program. That's it.
So then, final thing, if you had any advice to give to somebody now that you've been on both sides of the fence, you've been on the hard to lose, gaining weight, and now you're back where you want to be and maintaining it. Like, what advice would you give for somebody that's maybe wanting to get control of their health and their body again?
Listen to your inner voice that tells you need to make a change, and make it the day that you really open your eyes and say to yourself, this is the day that I'm going to change my life. And understand that with Dr. Nash's program, everything she does is customized for you. Everything she does, whether it's the physical blueprint that she gives you, the step-by-step program, the physician-grade liquid nutraceuticals that help your specific issues, everything she does is for you. And you're going to get that support. That's what caused me to help me stay on task, is because of Dr. Nash's support. It's like no other diet. It is a complete program. It's a courseware. It's a support. There's progression assessments. She's with you step by step through your journey to help keep you at your best self. Just do it. Just do it. There is no other program in the world like this. And I'm living proof of that. Please look at my before picture. Please look at my after picture. Understand where I came from. I was literally obese, not knowing what I was going to do in my life. I had no way to figure out, how am I going to lose this weight and keep it off? This program gave me my life back. If there's one thing you need to do, is pick up that phone or send that email and get into this program. You're not going to be disappointed. You're going to have a change in your life, the biggest change of your life. Listen to your inner voice and just do it. Just do it.
I appreciate that. You're awesome, Liorah. Thank you so much.
You're amazing, Dr. No, you're amazing. And every day I just thank my lucky stars that I was lucky enough to see that teacher with her amazing progress, and that I was in the right place at the right time. And that's what this is all about. And if I could scream from the mountaintops that this program works, and that this program is for everybody, every gender, non-binary, female, male, anyone can do this. Anyone can do this. Anyone can do this. And it's a no-brainer. You have to just trust that this is the only program in the world. There is no program in the world like this program, because of the research that Dr. Nash has done. Everything in life that is true has to have scientific data to back it up. Okay. And Dr. Nash presents that to you. And that's why this program works.
Well, and I appreciate your passion. And I'm so glad you took all the information that I gave you and you made this miraculous change for you, for your daughters, and then now for the people that are going to benefit from your degree.
I'm so glad. I'm so happy to be here today to express my gratitude to you. You changed my life. And in turn, not only did you change mine, you changed my 4 little girls' lives, because now their mother is happy, she's healthy, she's strong, she's able to tackle the world, whatever is thrown at her, she does it. And she does it with grace, and she does it with dignity, and she doesn't waver anymore. I'm a stronger person today, mentally and physically, because of your program. And I thank you every day.
I
Dr.
thank you too.
Hey, it's Dr. Nash here, and we have reached the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to learn more about how underlying metabolic damage can interfere with your body's ability to hold a normal weight, you can check out the videos that we have here on the side. If you want to see how my own body did in a 10-day metabolic challenge, you can check out that video series as well. And please like and subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell so that you know always when another video comes up, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye, butterflies.